Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Blind Spot. Another great episode. A lot of stuff to talk about in this episode, so let's break everything down. First of all, the episode kind of took me for a loop because at the beginning it's like, oh man, we're focusing on the FBI team. It's just Patterson, Tasha, and Reed. And it's like, oh, can't get in contact with Jane or Kurt, and I'm like, oh, I was like, oh man, you're gonna tease this, aren't you? I was like, I thought the entire episode was gonna be about the FBI team handling something without them, and then like maybe the next episode would be about Kurt and Jane finally getting the full. So I was like, oh, y'all suck, you're teasing it. And it's like, nope. And then it's like 9 hours early. I'm like, yes. So we finally get the story about what happened, and it's sad because everything played out because Kurt killed her by accident. He told her to stay behind, and he ended up seeing a shadow behind a sheet and ended up shooting her. It was complete and utter an accident. I had a feeling there's no way it could be something that was on purpose or anything like that, but that just sucks, dude. Especially because him and her kind of bonded over everything because he told her the truth about Jane about, well, Jane doesn't remember. And the fact of the matter is her daughter Avery had kind of a rough life. Her mom died of cancer. Her dad killed himself. Like, you know, she was happy, content with her life because she always knew she was adopted. But it's like she only came looking for Jane now because, you know, wanted answers, you know, after all these years. It's like, why now specifically? She's super stubborn. You could tell she easily takes that after Jane. Like, she was super like, every time Kurt was like, don't do this, she was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. So she takes heavily after her mom. But her understanding is like, oh, my mom gave me up and everything, which Jane is like, that sucks. She thinks I abandoned her. Shepard took her from me, which Kurt at the time didn't know that. So he was like, no, if Jane gave you up, there had to be a good reason for it. But then even like, she's like, but the fact is she doesn't remember, so obviously that doesn't mean jack squat because she won't remember why she gave me up in the first place. So it's not like I'll ever get to know the reason why. But we as the audience, and now Kurt knows why. Now he feels even worse about it because not only did he kill her daughter, now the fact of the matter is her daughter died thinking like, you know, it's like he tried to say like your daughter died knowing that she loved you. Like if Jane knew that you were out there, she would go to the ends of the earth for you. And he's like, and then, you know, she's like, oh, like, you are for her. And he's like, no, like, we are. I'm like, they were such a good team. I thought they would have actually spent more time together, but it seems like that's not the case. But the person they were tracking down, Max, to get closer to finding Jane, like, Kurt kind of brought up, like, it seemed like he knew that they were coming. So I'm curious, like, what that's all about. Like, I get the feeling like this might all trail back to Hank Crawford, who is the one behind Hearst. And he's also the one who's, you know, Blake's dad. So I feel like he's got to be connected to this in some shape or form, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But it's like, the fact is Kurt was like, yeah, it was almost like they knew we were coming. So I'm curious about that. Maybe previously Avery had already asked some questions, so that's why they knew, but it just sucks. And in that moment, everything breaks down. It's like they're forced to work together during this whole case because some nuclear warheads were stolen. Working with Keaton from the CIA and Dave from the DIA. They're trying to track them down because there's this lady named Lana who kidnapped this dude's Adam, his son, for the purpose of like getting the codes for these nuclear warheads. So this whole situation has Jane acting very rash because she went into that building like she was rushing. It's like, no, that kid's scared, we gotta go. It's like, no, we need to wait, but she didn't want to listen. In particular, it was because it was Kurt, the one that was saying like we need to wait. But it's like, no, someone's child already died. I'm not about to let Adam's child die, you know? So it's just like all her frustration and anger towards Kurt for everything. Because for her, it's not like not only did you kill my daughter, I don't know her. I didn't even get to know her face. The fact of the matter is you lied about it this entire time. You could have told me the truth, but it's like, I didn't want to lose you. It's like, what would have telling you ahead of time what would they have done to remind you that there's a daughter that you have out there that you didn't know about at the time and that she's dead? That, in fact, I'm the one that killed her, but it's like, it would have changed us. Like, it would have hurt. It would have been a powerful blow, but she would have accepted it a lot easier because the fact is you wouldn't have lied to her for so long. So she just can't look at him without kind of being reminded of it. And because like at this point in time, I still think Patterson's the only one that doesn't know because, you know, Kurt told Reed and Jane told Tasha, so everyone but Patterson knows the truth and everything. So I wonder if that's going to come up soon enough of that, or eventually maybe Reed and Tasha will kind of inform her like off screen or something like that, or maybe she'll end up asking Jane or Kurt about it, and then it's like, oh, she's like probably be like, oh, I had no idea. So, but the big focus of the episode, going back to the nuclear warheads, it is. I am curious. Like, we never get an answer to it. I guess there's just a leak. But first, she's asking for the release of her brother because she knows all about Keaton. And then it turns out, well, her brother died during interrogation. It's like, but she doesn't know that. And it turns out, oh, in fact, she does. So it must. The whole point of asking about Anton was just kind of a ploy, because it's like, okay, the fact is you want to sit here and lie to me about my brother, even though I know he's dead. You're pretending like he's still alive. So I know you're lying about removing those troops from Turkey and stuff like that. So I guess that's just one of those things that's like going to be handled off screen. I'm like, yeah, we had someone leaking information. It's taken care of. We'll take care of it. So, but probably like the badass moment, probably like easily one of Kurt's badass moments is like, okay, like the nuclear warhead was disarmed, but then Lana armed it again, and he shot her and her body fell out the plane, and it's like, okay, I got to go get. And Dave's like, you got to jump, and then Patterson's like, oh, trust me, he's already jumped. And he's just like mid-air, free falling, putting a code into her arm. And I was like, that's pretty badass. It's like, dude, you just did some like mission impossible stuff. I was like, that's pretty cool. It's hearing everything, you can kind of see Jane kind of smile a little bit, but then it's just reminded like, oh wait, all he's done. And even Kurt can't celebrate it because even he's thinking about what he's done, you know? So it leaves their relationship in a very sour patch to the point she leaves him at the end of the episode. Really quickly, I love Dave being like, oh man, can't wait to have you guys can't wait to have you guys around the next time this happened. And like the next time he's like, oh yeah, this ain't the first time the DOE's lost a nuclear warhead. It won't be the last time either. But hopefully this teach them about, help put a little more money towards security and everything. All right, see you guys later. It's like, and you just hear Tasha be like, that guy is such an idiot. I'm like, you can say all that with a smile on your face and everything, and he's joking about it. It's like, I like you, Dave. I hope we see more of you, Dave. It's like, you're such a weird, messed up dude, Dave. I definitely want to see more of you. You're like, you're kind of that weird, messed up like Rich is, and I like that. It was just, oh, that's so good. Even when it was all said and done, he was like, oh my God, we did it, and hugged Patterson. Patterson's like, oh, no, come on, Dave. It's like, oh, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I got too caught up in the moment. It's so good. But nevertheless, we do find out at the end of the episode that Jane's daughter is alive. Not too surprised about it. I felt like there had to be more to that. I didn't know whether it was going to be like Jane's daughter faked her death or what. It seems like she's still in Germany. Berlin's in Germany, right? I don't know geography. I'm pretty sure it's in Germany, right? So it seems like she wasn't dead at that time. I guess it's a situation because it's like Kurt was in such a heightened sense. Like the fact of the matter is he's shooting off guys and he's trying to pull her along, and he touched her neck, but he didn't feel it. I guess he didn't feel a pulse. But to be fair, it was a very intense situation. He was dealing with what he had done plus being attacked, and it's just like, what do I do? And he ran. And then you even have that moment of James kind of almost just being mad at being like, you should have stayed. He's like, if I had stayed, I would have died. It's like, well, you should have died. Almost like you should have not even just died for say. She was just like, obviously she's angry, but it's like, you should have stayed there with her. You left my daughter there. Not only did you kill her, you left her there. So, which this whole situation, even if the truth comes out to Jane, which eventually it will, that her daughter's still alive, it still won't ease the pain that, oh, you shot her, and not only everything that she's been through because you left her. But it's like, maybe they ended up resuscitating her. Like maybe Kurt thought she was dead. Her eyes were open like she had died. But to be fair, he might be misremembering things. Like I said, it's the heat of the moment, so it won't make things easier. But maybe it'll make things a little better going forward with them. But granted, it's probably going to be a long time before that happens. I'm very curious to see where it goes with that, because it's super going to be awkward working together, considering the fact that that this isn't a thing anymore. I mean, Kurt and Jane have always had a complicated relationship. It's like, well, you've actually been a mole for the inside of the FBI at this point in time, and it's like, you were never Taylor Shaw. There's those lies and everything. I mean, I know it's like apples and oranges, but still, it just sucks because there's always just something. It's like, you were happy she had to run because there was a bounty on her head, and now it's like, you got together and there's a big secret. I mean, the fact of the matter is Roman can't use this against him anymore. So, which I don't even, because that crazy thing is Roman doesn't even know that Jane knows now. So I'm curious to see what happens. Like if he calls in the future, like what's going to happen? He's like, oh yeah, you don't want Jane. Jane knows already. So you can't blackmail him anymore. Well, crap. But I'm sure he's got enough dirt on the rest of the team to still do that too. So, because we still don't 100% know everything Jane was up to during her time away. So I'm sure there's some stuff that she hasn't really spoken about. But her secrets and stuff were already kind of exposed like at the beginning of the season, because she was like, oh yeah, like yeah, I have all this stuff stashed away. Yeah, I'm so used to it because I was on the run for so long. And it's like, oh, she immediately exposed her secret. What about you, Kurt? What about Berlin? And now we know the truth and everything. It's understandable why he didn't tell her, but at the same time, it's like hindsight's always 20/20. You know, it's like, because the fact of the matter is, I guess in his eyes, it's kind of, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. If I tell you the truth, I'm going to lose you. Not telling you the truth, I'm going to lose you. But maybe, like I said, there's that chance that maybe things would have been better if he had told her the truth. I don't know. Maybe she'd be a lot closer to forgiving him. But either way, I still don't think that's something. The fact of the matter is, once again, like, you can't blame Jane either, because it's like, that's news. That's hard to take, especially because you've been looking for your daughter. You've been thinking about it. You've been contemplating it. And the entire time he knew exactly where your daughter was, that she was dead. Well, quote unquote dead, but still, you know, so I'm very interested to see where that all goes. Also going forward with this whole Keaton and Tasha situation, you know, connected to the FBI, because Keaton's got his way of approaching things. It's like this whole Hank situation. We don't need to go like charging full ahead. We need to take things slow, do the long game. And it took Tasha talking to Reed to, you know, convince him to do it. Which you even have Keaton being like, Keaton, I keep calling him Keaton. I think he's in my head. I just keep thinking like of Liz from The Blacklist, so that's why I always say Keen. I feel like I might have called him Keen in the past too. I mean, which I guess still could be true to call him that. Like it'd be a short. Nevertheless, I'm not ignore my BS. But nevertheless, it's like you're going to eventually have to pick a side, Tasha. Which Tasha's like, I already picked your side the moment I left the FBI. I'm with you all the way, which kind of sucks. Because obviously, you know, there's something there between her and Reed. I think no matter how much she says that, her loyalties will always be split, because she does care about Reed. She does care about this team because this team is her family. But the fact of the matter is, this team will not be the same. Like after the split, after Jade and Kurt, like the team won't be the same anymore. Even though they're back together, they're not. I mean, obviously we saw with her like being a bad guy too. It's like this team is based. Just they will never fit together the same way. Like there's too many scars essentially kind of built up over everything. So, and that is something that's already been kind of brought up since like the beginning of the season. Like there are certain things, there will be that point where it's like they don't align with the FBI, and Tasha will have to choose the CIA over them. I just hope she won't, but who knows? Like I said, Tasha, like the others might not be the only ones that are different. Tasha will probably be different too. Like there's no telling what she's done over the course of being with the CIA, because it's like, you know, she's kind of more inclined to agree with a lot of Keaton's tactics about certain things, just because that's how things are between them. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see where that kind of goes. And then we also have like the whole side of the story with with Roman. And it turns out that he's working with this guy named Victor, who kind of works for Hank. Interestingly enough, Victor, played by Anthony Lemke, got been in so much. He was in The Listener. Most recent thing I know him as is Marcus Boone, or rather 3 from the TV show Dark Matter. Just even saying that's kind of a little sad to say, but nevertheless. It's awesome to see him in this, but basically he set up this deal and everything. And I love that, you know, being the way he is, that Roman like dissected him. It's like, oh yeah, there's this and this and that. And like, it's like, okay, you're taking me along on this job, right? It makes you wonder, did he always have that plan? Because basically it was all about a coin that's worth a lot of money. It's like 4 million all on its own, but it could be used as a part of a deal for, Crawford. So it's like, why not take it? You know, it could be worth like actually 30 million in the long run if it, you know, the deal would net him that much. So, but the fact of the matter is, like, it was Victor who set the whole thing up for the coin to be stolen from Roman and everything, because it's very important for Crawford. So basically it's him trying to remove Roman, because it's like, I guess he's now become Crawford's special golden boy, and it's like, oh, if he found out like, oh, Roman messed up the job, well, then he would have been like, yes, like, oh, look at this guy's a failure, get him out of the way. So either Victor's got some plans of his own, or it's just like, oh, I'm supposed to go-to guy. Last thing I want some new guy showing up taking my glory or something, something like that. So, but what I was trying to say is like, did he have that plan from the beginning? Was the whole like, oh, you're not coming alone, just to kind of entice Roman to kind of push to be put on a job? And he's like, okay. Or was it the fact is that Roman got put on a job? It's because it's like Roman kind of muscled his way on, and it's like, no, this is my game, this is my play, and you're trying to be a part of it. But Roman knows that Victor was behind it, which he hasn't let on yet, but I'm curious to see what he does with that in the beginning. Maybe he'll try and screw Victor over and make it so that Victor looks bad in front of Crawford and kind of remove it, because Crawford is one more obstacle in his way to get close to Hank, because Blake was an introduction. She was a means to get close, which being with her, having the job of protecting her is going to bring him even closer. But I think also removing Victor from the equation, making himself seem more important. Like, Roman being like, oh yeah, I'm the guy that you can always count on, with more and more important stuff. So like I said, I'm curious to see what Roman gets out of this, because a lot of the tattoos, I mean, the one, like, not a lot of the tattoos, well, a lot of the stuff that they're connected, that they've dealt with in the past, has let Patterson tie Hank to a lot of it. So I'd assume a lot of the tattoos are very much the same. Like all the tattoos Roman gave her, Jane, were all connected to Hank in some shape or form, just like everything that Jane had on her body previously. All her original tattoos are connected to Sandstorm stuff. So I'm wondering if it, what it is that Roman's trying to do in the long run. My thought process before was like, he's trying to get close to him so basically he can take over Crawford's operations. Maybe there's more to it than that, but immediately off, that's where my head is like, he wants to control the network that Hank has built for himself. So the whole point is to take Hank down so that he can take control of it. Maybe there's some ulterior motive, because we don't know, because hopefully we get an episode at some point where we get to understand like what Roman's going down between Roman and Jane's showdown back in season 2's finale, up to like the time skip, up to this point in time, like what went down in that time period. What has Roman gone through? Once again, asking the question, does he have all his memories back or not? That's a big question. So I'm also like, Shepard was mentioned this season, like obviously like, oh, we could go to her about asking about, obviously she didn't know her at the time, but Avery. But I'm curious, like, is that foreshadowing to the fact is we might cross paths with Shepard at some point in time? Because if anyone's going to know Roman the best, it's going to be her. Because obviously Jay's not going to know him the best, because like a lot of her memories of him are gone. But like Shepard's the one that kind of crafted him into the person that he is. So I'm curious if that's going to play a part in this season or not. Especially when it has stuff to deal with Avery too. So that might play a part in it. I don't know. We just kind of have to wait and see. So very, very great episode. Things are just kind of on a sour note, so I'm curious to see what goes down in the next episode with this whole continuation of all of this, so. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good